Being Indian is one of the best things in my life, but it's never been without its challenges. From being born a girl to being the eldest child, life's been hard. But the hardest thing is being told what will people think when you want something for yourself. That phrase alone causes a lot of hurt, and I want to change that. The first step in doing so is to talk to my parents, but it's not going to be easy. The views expressed in this documentary are exclusive to my family and do not represent the Indian community as a whole, but I know many will relate. I think it's time we open up and get rid of Lok Ki Kenghe for good. Hello, Mummy.
Hi, Pussy.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine, thank you. Oh, miss you.
Yeah, miss you
Miss you so much. How's your drive?
Oh, don't even ask. You know, the road on the high street, it took me 40 minutes just to get out of it.
The traffic lights, temporary traffic lights. It took me a long time when I dropped again. I was born and brought up in India, village called Belga. I had a good childhood. Me and my sisters and my brother, we used to watch telly together. We had no internet that time. But nowadays, because of internet, nobody's sitting together. After school, after school, my mom take us to the farm. I remember I used to hide in a room when ਮੇਰੀ ਸਿਸਟਰ ਮੱਝਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਗਾਵਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਖੋਲ ਕੇ ਪਾਣੀ ਪਿਲਾਉਂਦੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਸੀ, ਇੱਕ ਪਾਸੇ ਖੋਲ ਕੇ ਦੂਜੇ ਪਾਸੇ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਜਾਣਾ। ਮੈਂ ਫਿਰ ਰੂਮ 'ਚ ਹਾਈਡ ਕਰ ਲੈਣਾ। ਮੈਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਲਾਇਕ ਕਰਦੀ ਸੀ ਬਾਹਰ ਨਿਕਲਣਾ। But my lifestyle completely different to nowadays. We had no freedom like boys in our culture. Like boy could do anything. But us girls, when we was going out, we had to think about what people gonna say.
You put my education first before the housework, and I'm very grateful for that. But
Yeah, in Indian culture, girls had to do housework. Every mother expecting their daughters to learn the housework. Because men don't do housework. If men do housework, that's bring a shame on a family. We were told from very young age, Lok Ki Kenghe. That wasn't upsetting for me that time, because he was saying for every girl.
But it's upsetting to me because I don't like that phrase, because my life has nothing to do with other people.
Yeah, I don't like that phrase anymore, because time has changed. I don't care about people what they're going to say, because this is my girl's life, and I want my girls to be happy. That makes me happy.
Fast one then if you don't go in. You let it. Oh, I missed it. What was growing up like for you?
It was really good. Me and my brother, we used to play on our bike. We had a big garden, and used to climb the trees and used to play with our ball and arrows. Also, we used to live next to the Wolves ground, and we could hear the crowd roar, and we would hide under the bed sheets, and used to be really noisy.
How old were you when Babaji died?
I was 22. I had me eldest brother and sister-in-law, and if we needed anything, we'd just ask me brother and my sister-in-law. My sister-in-law was like another mum to me, so that was good.
What was the hardest part about growing up?
Hardest part was my mum was religious, and me and my brother, we used to have top nuts, but we got bullied in school by the pupils and the teachers. So one day me and my brother chopped the top knots off. And my mum says, "What have you done?" I was growing up for you.
And I'm unfortunate in the fact that I was born here compared to if I was born in India, because I wouldn't have the independence and freedom that I would have now. But on the flip side of that, I was still an Indian girl, and I was made to feel like an outcast living in this country because I felt like I had to live two different lives. One at school where I'd try and fit in with my friends so that my friends would accept me, but then I'd have to change that so that at home I'd live a different life so that you and Mum would accept me.
How did that make you feel?
In all honesty, it was really lonely because I didn't have anyone to talk to about it, and I was the only Indian girl in that school until Simran went to that school. And then at home, I was the eldest, so I felt like I had to grow up a lot quicker than Simran and Gary did just because I was the eldest. But I know there's a lot of Indian girls who were born and raised here that don't have the same independence or freedom that I do because their families still reinforce Lok Ki Kenghe, and it's not fair on them because their families haven't changed their mindsets.
Some people find it hard to change with what they've grown up with.
Yeah, and that's not fair because that's not how a child should live. They shouldn't have that cloud over them and have to think that they have to think about everybody else before they think of themselves. And I feel like it's hard for my generation because we have to be that brick wall now to stop that from being passed down into the next generation.
This is my lenga, who I wore on my wedding day. It's really heavy. There's embroidery. It's all handmade.
Oh,
Yeah, it don't come cheap, very expensive. Yeah, so we normally wear red on a wedding day, you know. Me and your dad had an arranged marriage in 1997. I met him 4 weeks before the wedding and through the family. My brother said, yeah, we allowed to get to know each other and we talk. And your dad asked me a few questions about my study and if I wanted to get married. So then my brother took all the responsibility because my dad died in 1992. So my brother did everything for me. He did ask me, only the wedding would go ahead if I'm happy. So I said yeah. And then Dad was happy as well and I was happy. Then we got married.
what was the wedding day like?
It wasn't a really big wedding like nowadays, but I still enjoyed it. The day before the wedding, we had a party. I had my juda and my mendi. I remember everybody was kept saying how nice he was. And then my wedding happened in local Gurdwara. Normally after the wedding, bride moved to the groom's house because your dad was staying in England. Dad went back to England and then I stayed with my family in my brother's house. Do you want to get married?
I do, but then because I've wanted to be a journalist for the past 10 years, I want to focus on that and make that my priority, but then I also think I'm not ready yet either.
Oh yeah, you can get married when you're ready. And whenever you get married. Well, I don't want you to spend too much money and because I don't like big weddings.
Okay, I won't spend too much, but I still want to arrive in my Lamborghini.
Ooh, okay. Okay, then you can have whatever you want. Yeah.
Thank you. Do you want me to marry in our religion then?
I will be happy whoever you get married to. But if you marry outside of our religion, I would be worried about everybody judging you, because some families haven't changed their mindset about marrying outside your religion.
But ਇੱਦਾਂ ਸੋਚਣ ਨੂੰ ਗਲਤ ਹੈ ਹਨਾ।
ਮੈਨੂੰ ਤਾਂ ਕੋਈ ਮਾਈਂਡ ਨਹੀਂ, ਪਰ ਲੋਕੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਚੇਂਜ ਹੋਏ ਨਾ। ਸਾਰੇ ਸੋਚਦੇ ਆ ਕਿ ਲੋਕ ਕੀ ਕਹਿਣਗੇ ਜੇ ਆਪਣੀ ਕੁੜੀ ਡਿਫਰੈਂਟ ਰਿਲੀਜਨ 'ਚ ਵਿਆਹ ਕਰਾਉਂਦੀ ਆ। ਅੱਧੇ ਤਾਂ ਖੁਸ਼ ਆ, ਪਰ ਅੱਧੇ ਲੋਕੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਖੁਸ਼ ਹੁੰਦੇ। ਆਪਾਂ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਤਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਚੇਂਜ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੈ ਨਾ, ਪਰ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਤਾਂ ਕੋਈ ਮਾਈਂਡ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗਾ। ਮੈਂ ਤਾਂ ਹੈਪੀ ਆ ਵਿਦ ਐਨੀਥਿੰਗ। yeah.
This is our wedding album. Mum is showing her Mindi, Jura and traditional red wedding dress. This is our wedding card invitation. Our parents' names are first because they are holding the wedding.
What did you think of Mum when you first saw her?
She looked very young and very innocent, and we had a conversation away from the family, and I asked her what she was studying, but she didn't look up, she just kept looking down. In those days the girls weren't allowed to look at people, and they weren't allowed to go out without their parents.
What did you think of India when you went to see Mum?
It was my first time there, and the car horns were giving me a headache. They were driving on the wrong side of the road, and people were trying to cross the highway between cars, trucks and coaches. I was only there for 4 weeks, and soon after the wedding I left.
How did you feel about your wedding?
Because I was wearing a suit, it was really hot and I was really sweaty, and I really enjoyed the band that was playing Bhangra music, and my brother and my nephew were dancing. I could remember just before the wedding we had a melody, and one of your mossies presented me with a laddu. I opened my mouth and she went boosh and pushed the whole laddu into my mouth.
But nobody does that anymore, do they?
A lot of things have changed over time, but probably some things will never change. For example, in India, divorces are not accepted because it is viewed as shameful.
So is that why there are a lot of divorces in India?
Yes, because the girl has to live with the in-laws. Even if she's unhappy and is not accepted in the family, she will try her best because of the marriage. You know when your instructor says you're going to drive 10 to 2 position,
Yeah.
didn't he say use 2 hands, or did he just say 1 hand?
He said do 10 to 2, but now I'm just like, I like driving with one hand. What was it like knowing you were going to be a dad for the first time?
I was very happy to become a dad for the first time. We were all very excited, and I knew I would be able to handle it because I looked after my niece and nephew as they were growing up.
How did you feel about your first child being a girl?
It didn't bother me what the gender of the baby would be, because you didn't know until you were born, and that's what God had given us. I was happy and your mum was happy, and that's all that mattered.
Were you worried about what other people would think because I wasn't born a boy?
No, I'm not the kind of person to care about what others think. I don't like how some Indian families prefer sons over daughters, because traditional way of thinking, and that needs to change.
Do you think Indian parents put too much pressure on their children to be the perfect child?
I think all parents put pressure on their children because the parents know that the child has to succeed in school and later life. But I know some families are stricter than others because they don't want the children to bring shame on the family. The children are reflections of their parents and they don't want the child to fall behind.
Oh, that one when you was 5.
It was my 5th birthday.
Yeah, look at the cheeky smile. I like that one, yeah.
Did I ask for the chunni or did you just put
yeah,
it on?
you did, yeah. You really like chunni, yeah. I was 22 when you were born and I was very excited because I was going to have a baby. I bought lots of clothes for you. I think I bought it 6 months before you were born.
You were my age when you had me, but I think ਤੂੰ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ young ਸੀ
ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ young ਸੀਗੀ ਤਾਂ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਕਈ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਦਾ ਪਤਾ ਵੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀਗਾ ਹਨਾ ਤਾਂ ਡੈਡੀ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਬਾਲਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਪਤਾ ਸੀ ਇੰਨਾ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਜਦੋਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਪਹਿਲਾ ਬੇਬੀ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਬਹੁਤ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਦਾ ਪਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਅਸੀਂ ਤੇਰੇ ਨਾਲ ਟਾਈਮ ਤਾਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਪੈਂਡ ਕਰਦੇ ਸੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਾਰੇ ਠੋਈ ਲਿਆਉਣੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਬਾਹਰ ਸ਼ਾਪਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਠੋਈ ਬਾਏ ਕਰਦੇ ਰਹਿਣਾ ਅਸੀਂ ਤੇ ਪਰ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਇੰਨਾ ਪਤਾ ਵੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਤੇ ਨਾ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਵੀ ਕਰੀ ਜਾਣੀਆਂ ਜ਼ਿਆਦੀਆਂ ਥੋੜੀਆਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਕਰਦੇ ਸੀ ਪਰ ਇੰਨੀਆਂ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਟੀਚ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਦੇ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਤੂੰ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਕਰ ਜਦੋਂ ਤੂੰ 1.5 ਸਾਲ ਦੀ ਹੋਈ ਤਾਂ ਫੈਮਿਲੀ ਜਦੋਂ ਆਉਂਦੀ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਸੀ ਸਾਰੇ ਇੱਦਾਂ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਕਹਿ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਸੀ ਅਮਨ ਇੰਨੀਆਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਦੀ ਥੋੜੀਆਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਕਰਦੀ ਸੀ ਪਰ ਜ਼ਿਆਦੀਆਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਕਿ ਨਿਆਣਾ ਏਜ ਦੇ ਹਿਸਾਬ ਨਾਲ ਕਰਦਾ ਆ ਫਿਰ ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰੀ ਬੀਜੀ ਆਏ ਬੀਜੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਵੀ ਇੰਨੀਆਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਮਨ ਕਰਦੀ ਮੈਂ ਕਿਹਾ ਹਾਂਜੀ ਬੀਜੀ ਇੰਨੀਆਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਪਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਾਹਤੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਦੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਦੂਜੇ ਨਿਆਣੇ ਇਹਦੀ ਏਜ ਦੇ ਜ਼ਿਆਦੀਆਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ ਤਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਬੀਜੀ ਨੇ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਇੱਕ ਬੀਜੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਤੂੰ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਸਿਖਾਉਂਦੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਜਦੋਂ ਬੀਜੀ ਨੇ ਇੱਦਾਂ ਕਿਹਾ ਤਾਂ I thought oh my god ਬੀਜੀ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਸਿਖਾਉਣੀਆਂ ਪੈਣੀਆਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਬੀਜੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਤੂੰ ਸਿਖਾਉਂਗੀ ਤਾਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਕਰੂਗੀ ਹਨਾ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਬਹੁਤ ਹੋਰ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਹੋਇਆ ਮੈਂ ਕਿਹਾ ਉਹ ਠੀਕ ਹੈ ਮੈਂ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਸਿਖਾਈਆਂ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਫਿਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਹਾਰਡ ਟਰਾਈ ਕੀਤੀ ਕਿ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਛੇਤੀ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਮੇਰਾ ਜੀ ਕਰ ਮੈਂ ਛੇਤੀ ਹੁਣ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਸਿਖਾਵਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਕਰਨ ਲੱਗੂਗੀ ਜਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਤੂੰ ਇੱਕਦਮ ਪਿਕਅਪ ਕਰ ਲਿਆ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਫਿਰ ਤੂੰ ਜ਼ਿਆਦੀਆਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਕਰਨ ਲੱਗ ਗਈ ਫਿਰ ਜਾਂ ਇੱਦਾਂ ਹੋਈ ਕਰਕੇ ਯੰਗ ਏਜ ਵਿੱਚ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਾਰਾ ਕੁਝ ਪਤਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਨਾ
In Indian culture, why do some families prefer to have sons instead of daughters?
In olden days, the girls didn't earn a living, so the parents needed to save up a lot of money to make sure their daughters gets married. Also, when there is a wedding, the bride's family has to pay for everything. There's so many reasons why families want a boy instead of a girl.
But that's not fair because then the girls don't feel wanted by their families.
Yeah, but slowly people are changing. I hope they will stop thinking like that. But I always wanted 2 girls. My wish came true. And when I had you and Simran, I was really happy.
Do you think the phrase Lok Ki Kenghe will stop being used so much for girls?
I think, ਮੇਰੇ ਖਿਆਲ ਹੁਣ ਤਾਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਫਰਕ ਪੈ ਗਿਆ ਅੱਗੇ ਨਾਲੋਂ nowadays ਤਾਂ ਹੁਣ ਲੋਕੀ ਇੰਨਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਕਰਕੇ ਨਿਆਣੇ ਖੇਡ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਲਾਈਕ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਇਸ ਫਰੇਜ਼ ਨੂੰ ਐਨੀਮੋਰ ਫਿਰ ਹੁਣ ਪੇਰੈਂਟਸ ਵੀ ਅੰਡਰਸਟੈਂਡ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ ਟਾਈਮ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਹੁਣ ਬਹੁਤ ਫਰਕ ਹੈ ਅੱਗੇ ਨਾਲੋਂ ਤਾਂ ਹੁਣ ਤਾਂ ਚੇਂਜ ਹੋਇਆ ਬਹੁਤ ਹੁਣ ਤਾਂ ਮੇਰਾ ਖਿਆਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੋਈ ਲੋਕੀ ਇੰਨਾ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਆਪਣੀਆਂ ਕੁੜੀਆਂ ਨੂੰ
I know it's not easy to change years and years of old traditions and mindsets, but that doesn't mean we can't do it. There is no way I am letting Lok Ki Kenghe affect my future children or my happiness. Everyone deserves to live a life the way they want and to live happily. So if you're one of those people who still believe that you and your family should live to please others, ask yourself, are you really happy living like that? How does it affect your children? And are you willing to make that change?